Firstly, a big thank you to MSI for making it possible for Hardware Unboxed to attend Computex 2019. Please check out their latest gaming and creator desktop range powered by Intel Core 9th Gen processors via the link in the description. Also, a thank you to Corsair for their support. Check out their new products again via links below. Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. We're here at the Team Group booth. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of really cool products here. We've got this RGB SSD that is probably the best looking RGB I've seen on an SSD yet. So we'll get to checking that out in just a moment. I think we also saw some liquid cooled M.2 SSDs. They've got their PCIe 4 SSD as well. So, well, let's get into it. I want to start here with the T-Force Delta Max RGB SSD because it's by far the best looking 2.5-inch SSD I've seen so far. Previous Team Group RGB SSDs looked pretty good and had a massive bright RGB array, but this new SSD takes things to the next level. It almost looks as if the front of the SSD is a small LCD screen, but it's actually just a densely packed RGB LED array with some diffusers that create that awesome effect. This new design is a lot slicker than Team Group's previous model, and I think will complement a lot of builds really nicely. And for those that don't appreciate the RGB lighting, the drive even looks good with it disabled thanks to this mirror finish. In fact, you can't even tell the SSD is RGB capable when the lights are disabled. That's how well the feature has been integrated. So it's well suited to many different types of builds. Of course, the main SSD inside is just your basic SATA unit based on 3D NAND with 560 megabytes per second reads and 510 megabytes per second writes. So the main reason you'd get something like this is for the visual design and also because they tend to be quite cheap, although I don't have any firm word on pricing. Team Group tells me it should be available in the third quarter around the August to September timeframe if everything goes to plan. In other SSD news, we have the company's new Cardia, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that word. Let's go with Cardia 0 M.2 PCIe NVMe SSDs. These are available in two versions, one with a PCIe 3.0x4 interface and the other with PCIe 4.0x4. So for those building 3rd gen Ryzen systems with an X570 motherboard, you want to get one of these PCIe 4.0 drives because they are actually faster than the PCIe 3.0 model. 3.8 gigabytes per second reads and 3.2 gigabytes per second writes with the PCIe 4 version, compared with 3.4 gigabytes per second reads and 3 gigabyte per second writes for the PCIe 3 version. It'll be available in 256 gigabyte, 512 gigabyte, and 1 terabyte capacities. I'm sure Steve will be trying to get a bunch of these into test with new Ryzen processors, and it's good to see another company looking to take advantage of PCIe 4.0 as soon as the interface is ready for use. Don't have many other details such as pricing or release date, but it's well beyond the concept stage as the PCIe 4.0 drive does already have a name. It's Z440 to distinguish it from the Z340 PCIe 3.0 models. But wait, there's more SSD news, and this one will again interest PC builders looking for something visually interesting. What we have is the Cardia Liquid, which I've got to say is a pretty unique concept. It's basically a liquid cooling chamber for an M.2 SSD. It attaches to the SSD via a thermal pad and transfers its heat into whatever liquid solution you pour into the drive. You can either use the included liquid in a variety of colors, or use your own, perhaps to match the rest of your custom liquid cooling rig. While the drive is sort of liquid cooled, it doesn't hook up to the rest of a custom loop. It's just a standalone item. The pour hole is accessible via a sliding cover, and Team Group tells me the liquid inside should be replaced every 6 months or so. In terms of cooling performance, we're looking at up to a 10-degree reduction when the drive is active compared to not having a cooler on your SSD, although I'll leave Steve to test that when the drives are available soon. Personally, I'm not sure what the cooling capabilities will end up as, but it could be useful for the new super fast PCIe 4.0 models. To me, this is more of a visual thing. It looks awesome in builds and should be great for those that want to match their M.2 SSD to the rest of the liquid cooling gear in their system. Reckon we'll see this in a lot of custom builds. For those buying Team Group RGB SSDs and other RGB equipment, we have the T-Force Captain RGB control box. Fairly straightforward, it allows you to attach multiple RGB devices to easily sync up lighting effects and provide more RGB ports than you might have on your motherboard. It has a button in the middle for cycling through some built-in effects, and one of Team's new T-Force A RGB addressable LED strips is included in the box, bringing independent control over every LED in the strip, and it's magnetic. Continuing on the RGB theme, Team Group were also showing off some of their new RGB DDR4 modules with A RGB LEDs, so similar deal to the strip in that each LED is addressable for better effect controls. While A RGB LEDs are coming to Team's other products like Delta Z and Excalibur memory, the big product on show was the top of the line Extreme A RGB memory. And boy does it look awesome with a mirror finish on the heat spreader similar to the new Delta Max RGB SSD. So you can either opt for massively in-your-face RGB effects or a more subtle look depending on the build you want. So that's really cool in my opinion, again catering to all sorts of builders, and of course this memory is available at speeds up to 4800 MHz like with the rest of their Extreme memory. As for other stuff on show, we had T-Force's Dark Z DDR4, which is their new high-end gaming kits available in speeds up to 3600 MHz. Really awesome heat spreader on this one with 0.8mm thick aluminium alloy. Then finally, perhaps not the most crazy thing for gamers, but I did spot some interesting utility USB flash drives. One had a bottle opener and a box cutter on it, another had a ruler and magnifying glass. Kind of a neat concept for something that doesn't get a lot of attention usually. Oh, and Steve took this cool B-roll for Team Group's new portable SSD offering that is water and dust proof. Figured I should probably use this footage because it looks pretty good. Well, that's it for Team Group at Computex 2019. I think there's a lot of products on show at this booth that will please those that are PC builders and love that RGB SSD action and also RGB memory. But of course, it's really great to see Team Group also catering to those that don't necessarily want the RGB effects. So they've got new memory and SSDs as well that don't have that, which, yeah, it's great to see. So, yeah. As always, you can subscribe for the rest of our Computex 2019 coverage. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Thanks to Steve the cameraman, who is struggling, maybe not struggling, doing all right with my crazy camera setup that I've got here. And I'll catch you in the next one.